Thank you. Thank you very much for attending the conference and this presentation session. I'm Yang Yang, the chair of this session. First, please let me introduce our honorable discussants, Dr. Sandra Smith. Welcome, Sandra, and Dr. Helen Lu. It's a great honor to have you here. Sandra is a senior lecturer at the Graduate School of Management. She got her PhD degree in marketing in 2010 and has been teaching at the school since 2006. And Helen is a lecturer at the Department of Accounting and Finance, and she was a vice president at the Credit Suisse and a lecturer at the University of Otago. So now please let me introduce our PhD presenters. This afternoon we have Varun Bhardwaj, Shuting Yu, Melody Mo, Jing Lo, Ella Watterson, and Shang-Hu Wu. So before we start, please let me go through some rules about presentations. The maximum length of a presentation is 12 minutes. If a presentation is shorter than 10 minutes, the presenter will have 2 minutes for Q&A, and that's 2 questions maximum. If a presentation is longer than 10 minutes, the presenter will have no Q&A. If a presentation reaches 12 minutes, it will be stopped. I'm sorry. So I will remind when a presentation reaches 10 minutes. So everyone have time to present, and please do not run over time. Thank you. Now I would like to welcome Varun. He is a PhD from the Department of Management and International Business.
Hello everyone, my name is Varun Bhardwaj. I grew up in a small town on the outskirts of New Delhi where most families kept cows. My grandmother was dodging darting cows right up until her 80s. And at that time when I was a little boy, I didn't really know the impact that dairying had on sustainability of local ecosystems. And now I find myself doing a PhD in this area. I couldn't have been here today standing in front of you without the help of my supervisors, Rachel Wolfgram, Jamie Newith, Deborah Shepherd, and also my advisory team in India, Dr. Alka Singh, Dr. Sunita Singh Gupta, and also my advisor here in University of Auckland, Dan Tesh, who is also working in this area. So this is a presentation of my provisional year review proposal. So I would welcome any questions that you have that are unclear for you. And I would really take your questions very seriously for the development of my provisional year review proposal, which I'm in the process of right now. The literature that I've been reading for my PhD research can be categorized into 2 broad themes. The theme of sustainable business tends to have a focus on the firm as the unit of analysis. And for me, this is problematic because focusing on the resilience of an organization in terms of its ability to survive in the case of a flood or a drought or any other extreme weather event doesn't necessarily contribute to the resilience of the surrounding social and ecological systems. So for me, the concept of resilience, and in particular the concept of positive resilience or resilience of social and ecological systems is more promising field of research for sustainability when it comes to business, and especially when it comes to the agricultural context. So I'll be focusing my research on this theme of resilience. and contributing to that theoretical conversation. Originally, I was working on problematizing the sustainability literature. Currently, because of the existence of a number of conceptual papers that problematize the sustainability literature for me, I'm now looking for gaps within this space. And in particular, there are only very few studies that actually focus on resilience beyond the firm. So resilience literature tends to focus on organizational resilience. So how can a firm survive in the case, or bounce back in the case of a disturbance, such as a flood or a drought? I'm looking to fill the gap in the area of social and ecological resilience. So how can a firm, such as a dairy farm, contribute to the resilience of their local ecosystems? And so that's the term. Positive resilience is a term that there's a lot of conceptual work being done on this, but not a lot of empirical studies. And that's where I aim to contribute. The design of my research, as you may be able to appreciate if you're a PhD student, this has been up in the air up until this very moment, up until 12:30 a.m. this morning, when I sent this off to Yang Yang and my supervisors. So I would appreciate your feedback on this as well. The design as it stands at the moment is a visual ethnography of two small dairy farms, one in India, one in New Zealand. People ask me why India and New Zealand, since they're both very different. To me, both have cows, both have human beings, and both have nature. And nature does not discriminate. The sun shines on the grass, and the cow eats the grass, and the milk gets made, and it gets sold, and people drink it, and they get strong, hopefully. So for me, it's more multiple case. I'm looking at two different cases, in-depth, stays, which I'll talk about in my method section following this slide. How will I be using visuals? The visuals will be generated by me, and this is a choice that I've made because the context in which the visual is made is very important for me for study. So if I'm recycling visuals in my data that have been made at another time in another place, I may not fully be able to capture the context of their making. So this is a choice that I've made very consciously, and after a lot of different approaches, having gone through a lot of different approaches. So how I'll be doing this is going through the farm with stakeholders and doing walkthrough interviews, which will be filmed by me, either by a GoPro on my head, or maybe an iPhone here hanging over my neck. I don't know. But I do have a digital creativity diploma, so I have the technical skills to be able to make these videos and edit them and so on. The analytical focus for me, when I'm analyzing my data, will be stories of how that farm interacts with the natural environment. So I'll be using a narrative analysis, working on organizational storytelling theory by David Boji. And I'm still really honestly exploring more about how to do that, but I've decided that it's not going to be a thematic analysis, or it's more going to be, because narratives are a really good way for me to capture the nuances that sometimes otherwise get missed. The theoretical foundation of my PhD will be socio-ecological resilience theory. It's an interdisciplinary theory, it's a multidisciplinary theory. It includes management is now only starting to come into this, but the natural sciences have been, since 1976, 1986, there's been a lot of work that's been done, but never really, to my knowledge, an ethnographic empirical study. So that's kind of where I hope to contribute. There are issues with this research design that I will be aiming to tackle. Technical knowledge, cultural awareness on my part, so where I'm going, certain things might not be appropriate to film, and I've got to know how to do that. So this is, on my part, censorship and staging. So on the part of the participants, they might be staging, on the 1 month that I'm there, they might be putting on a show and cleaning all the cow dung properly and things. So that's an issue that I'll need to somehow tackle. And obviously it's about that relationship between me and the participants. And also reactivity. Some people might not be staging, but they might react to the camera, and that might not give me the naturally occurring phenomena that I'm looking for. Reflexivity is an issue for me in this research, so I need to be careful about how I reflect and how reflexive I am in even selecting my participants. Why not this dairy farm? Why this dairy farm? And so on. So that's an issue that I will need to be careful about, and the potential for harm, obviously with confidentiality and the need to protect my participants' identities is a concern for this, and I will need to spend a good deal of time minimizing harm and maximizing benefits for participants. My participants will be farms who are looking to be more sustainable in their marketing, in their websites, in their outreach to communities. They've got an outwardly stance of we want to be more sustainable, and hence the name Clean Milk. And I will not be presenting the visual data to a general audience. I'll be presenting it in a thesis form. The visual data is for me to be able to revisit those moments when I was walking through and capture the nuances in those stories that I was being exposed to. I will be presenting the visual data to the farm, to the stakeholders on the farm, but not in my thesis. And so it's more for me to be able to get those nuances and analyze those stories. So this is my final slide. So I believe I'm going to be on time. This is good. So for my methods section, the main part of my methods, because this is a visual ethnography approach, really is about how I'm going to relate to my participants from the very first contact that I have with them to the time that I leave the farm, so to speak. And so the initial contact I will make through a letter that I will write. At the moment, I've considered Taranaki as a region where I have access to a family of farmers, dairy farmers, and in India, in Punjab and Haryana, where I have access through my family networks and through my advisory team in India. The letter will take into consideration all the issues that I've outlined previously, as well as a general overview of the research. When I'm there on the farm, it could be 1 or up to 3 months. Normally, ethnographies, they say go for a year, but this is because of the intensity of the data collection, they wouldn't probably want me around for longer than that, I'm guessing. And I'll be revisiting that data again and again, and I'll be putting myself in that position again and again. So 1 to 3 months should be sufficient for me to get an idea of how that farm is contributing to the resilience of their local ecosystems. During those 3 months, I'll be selecting my interviews, I'll be selecting sites to go and observe, and I'll be filming there. And before I leave, I will be giving a video presentation to the stakeholders that I was engaging with during that time, to kind of make sure that I don't completely misrepresent the stories that they shared with me and the places that I was able to be involved in. And thank you so much for your listening. I welcome your questions and feedback.
Thank you, Varun. Next, I would like to welcome Shu Ting Liu. She's from the department.
I'm not leaving him unless there's a question or feedback. Sorry. Is there any questions or feedback?
Because if a presentation is longer than 10 minutes, then
well, you know where to find me.
Yeah.
You know where to find me.